What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from AmericanMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm continuing on with my best of 2024 list, so I'd like for you to click a like and subscribe because I need more. I need them. I need them to continue on living. I've just been sick. That's. So this is my supporting actors of the year. Yesterday I did supporting actress. You can see who I thought won that. I'll give you a hint. They were not nominated for an Oscar this year because I do my own shit. Sometimes people are nominated. I've picked some interesting people over the years. In supporting actress a couple years ago, I had Catherine Hunter for The Tragedy of Macbeth. I thought she stood out to me the most. So sometimes I just go my own way. This category, I don't know that I did, but I'll tell you that there's someone who's nominated this year that I didn't nominate. They're not here or in my honorable mentions. So I did pick somebody else though. So here on my list of the best supporting actor performances of the year, starting everyone does like a top 10, but then they have honorable mentions. But I have honorable mentions, so it's really like a longer list. So we're just going to start down at the bottom and we'll work our way to the top. And I'm using my accessibility device and Speaks to Me because I'm blind. So this is this is how I live. Again, subscribe. Kicking off the list at the very bottom, but still making the cut. I did have to remove people. I mean, I had a broader list that included everybody from, I don't know, Antonio Banderas to who to make the cut, John Lithgow, to the person, the nominee that didn't make the cut, to, a bunch of other people. So it's a pretty wide spread out list. Number 20, because I have 10 honorable mentions and a top 10. It's fair. I have Stanley Tucci for Conclave. I kind of feel like he's a little bit like Isabella Rossellini in that he has scenes that work, but it's not like the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order to put him higher, I would need him to do more in that movie. But he's really good, and I did like the moments that he offered in that. So Stanley Tucci is at the bottom of, but still the list. Moving up. I guess number 19. Brian Cox for Little Wing, because I really fucking love Brian Cox, and anytime I can put him on a list, he's gonna be on the damn list. My favorite actor. This is for me. This one's for me, man. Just let it go. I love Brian Cox. And this was his best performance of the year on film, so he makes a category. This is my party, and I'll cry if I want to. Anyway, moving up the list, number 18. Samuel L. Jackson for The Piano Lesson. There was a talk that he was going to win this year, which was hilarious because we didn't really know like what his performance would entail. I guess based off of the play, people were like, oh, he's really good in play. He doesn't really do that much. So if that was the role he had in the play, I don't know why anybody was ever talking about him. But he's really good for what he has. He's sort of like Stanley Tucci. It's like, I loved what you did, but I need more of it. If we're going to talk about like winning, like if we're going to really put you up there, I just needed a little bit more, but I still really wanted to recognize him. And of the supporting men, I liked him the most. Some people gave Ray Fisher a shout out. I still think, like, how can Ray Fisher topple Samuel L. Jackson? He can't. Moving up the list, number 17. Mike Feist for Challengers. I've seen this movie twice. I guess Josh O'Connor is considered lead and Mike Feist is considered supporting. So this is just kind of where Mike Feist ended up landing. I think they all did nice work. I think everybody, probably a spoiler, but I think all three actors are represented in the categories in which they're eligible somewhere. So I think everybody makes my list somewhere. Mike just happens to be lower on supporting actor. He was much higher. I think I had him as the runner-up for West Side Story, if I remember correctly. He was either like number 2 or number 3 or something like that. The year he was on West Side Story. So moving up the list, I'd say I've seen Challengers twice, right? So I'm quite informed on that movie. Moving up the list. Mark Adelstein for Anora. sort of a breakthrough performance. I picked him over Yuri Borisov. I didn't really get the Yuri Borisov craze. I don't really understand it. I kind of need more people to explain it to me because I had a harder time choosing between like this and Toro, like the guy who plays Toro in the movie. I just there's so many supporting characters in Anora that to try to pick one, but Mark has kind of like the most screen time of any of them, even though I guess York kind of finishes the movie. Um, but when they're finishing the movie, I kind of figured I took away that Mikey Madison was stealing all of the scenes that apparently people thought York Borisov was stealing. So I don't know. Mark's on my list though. He's the Anora supporting cast member that made my list. The spoiler here is that York Borisov is not on my list. Moving up the list, Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. He stole the shit out of that. I did have Pedro Pascal on a longer list because I thought he was actually pretty good, but he just didn't make the top 20. I've seen Anora twice, by the way. That's another film I've seen twice. I've only seen Gladiator 2 once. Moving up the list. Kevin Durand for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I mean, it's a mocap performance, but man, he's fantastic. Like, Kevin Durand is, I think I voted for him somewhere. There was something that I got to vote for, like hybrid performance. I can't remember, and he was there, and I voted for him. Because I mean, like I'm sure people are like Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage didn't get the kind of time in Wicked that he would need to stand out. But Kevin Durand, I thought, was excellent in that he's sort of a great character actor who never gets his due, and it feels like exactly the kind of thing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes does, which just takes great character actors like Andy Serkis and gives them these great mocap roles to shine in. So I have no problem putting a mocap actor here, and it's Kevin Durand. So moving up the list. Jason Bateman for Carry On. I thought he was great. He's not the actor that you would think plays a villain, but Jason Bateman continues to take roles where you would go, I wouldn't normally give that to Jason Bateman, but okay. I mean, he was great on Ozark. Doesn't feel like a Jason Bateman role to me, but hey, he proved me wrong because he was fantastic on Ozark, and Ozark's one of my favorite TV shows. And then Carry On, I'm like, damn, and he comes in with like some action sequences too, and I'm like, Jason Bateman's doing action sequence. I haven't seen this since what, The Kingdom? So anyway, yeah, he makes my list. Carry On is not that serious of a movie, and I don't think I have it anywhere else, but I'm like Jason Bateman in it. Moving up the list. Edward Norton for Complete Unknown. I like the performance, but we need to make sure we give Edward Norton an Oscar for a performance that Edward Norton should win an Oscar for. It feels like at this point that we are like, it was this and like Birdman, and it's like neither of those are his best. Can we all just admit that we got somewhere along the way in the 90s and just should have given him an Oscar? And can somebody just put him in the right movie for the right role and give it to him for something that, that gives us the vibes of when he was in Primal Fear and Fight Club, like, I want that. This was good because he's Edward Norton, because he's always good. Sort of like Denzel Washington making the list for Gladiator 2. But I would have been okay if he hadn't gotten the nomination. Moving up the list. Ed Harris for Love Lies Bleeding. I enjoyed this performance. He was very creepy. He was exactly what he needed to be for that role, and icky and everything. And he was great. Very underrated. A lot of people talked about Katie O'Brien and Kristen Stewart. No, people talked about Ed Harris. So Ed Harris is on my list. Moving up the list. Hugh Jackman for Deadpool and Wolverine. I've seen this twice, and you might say, isn't that a lead performance? And I'd say, well, if we're doing this thing where like some of the parts are getting shifted downward, like technically Zoe Saldana really is a co-lead for Emilia Perez. Technically, Kieran Culkin really is a co-lead. Technically, if we really want to get into it, Mike Feist is a co-lead for Challengers. He has comparatively the same amount of screen time as Josh O'Connor and Zendaya. Why would he be in supporting? So the reason I put Hugh Jackman in supporting for Deadpool and Wolverine is because it's obviously a Deadpool movie, and Wolverine is obviously the second character that comes in. So I liked this different side that Hugh Jackman had to bring to Wolverine. It's not as strong as his Logan performance, but it's an interesting performance. I think it's the second most interesting performance he's had as Wolverine, because he had so many where he had to play like the same Wolverine. And then finally, James Mangold challenged him with Logan, and it was excellent, brilliant. And then he came back and he had to play a different version of Wolverine, and it couldn't be the same thing. And I thought there was enough nuance there. He made enough small changes that we could see that this was a different Wolverine, that this was not the same Logan that we had come to know and love. So, yeah, I defend this. Hugh Jackman for Deadpool and Wolverine is in, I think we're in the top 10 now, by the way. So, moving up the list. Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing, another film I've seen twice. Yeah, he's on the list. He's not higher. I watched that movie, and it's sort of like I've done with some other actors where it's like there's a performance, but I thought Coleman Domingo was the takeaway for me from Sing Sing, not Clarence. Sometimes it's the supporting actor that ends up winning the movie, and those are typically when those people win, is when I think the supporting actor stole the movie. Now, when the lead actor and they're just supported by somebody really well, that's when the supporting actor ends up sort of in my top 10, but not necessarily as the winner. And Clarence gave a great performance in Sing Sing, but not as good as Coleman's. Moving up the list. Dennis Quaid for The Substance. A really underrated performance. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He came in and swiped in for Ray Liotta. I've seen this movie twice. And really informed my decision to keep Dennis Quaid on here. His performance, I don't know. He gets shit on a lot because he gets cast in some really awful movies. Also his politics are not great, but his character is called Harvey. We all know why it's called Harvey, and he played it super gross, and he was exactly what the role called for. Like, he dove headfirst into this role, and I appreciate that. Demi Moore is definitely the takeaway, but I very much appreciated Dennis Quaid in this movie for not being able to eat shrimp in any sort of way remotely possible, and for being just absolutely the grossest version of himself. So, moving up the list. Chris Hemsworth for Furiosa. I've seen this movie twice, and he's the standout of it. I do have another person from Furiosa, at least one other on another list, so you can check that out, and maybe there's a director somewhere. But yeah, Chris Hemsworth for Furiosa. That would have been a fun supporting actor nomination, let's be honest, because Chris Hemsworth has never even come close to an Oscar nomination. But if Furiosa had been remembered at all, it would have been fun to just see him pop up as supporting actor and be like, to me, I would have swapped Chris for Edward, for Yora. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think if you had heard Chris Hemsworth Furiosa, like, people would have lost their minds. All of a sudden, if that was like the surprise nomination, it would have been like the best surprise nomination, because everybody would have immediately been like, yes. Because it's something that we never thought would happen, so nobody took it seriously. But yeah, what a great villain. Anyway, moving up the list. Jude Law for Firebrand. I don't think anybody saw this movie but me. I'm the only one. I'm the one person who saw Firebrand. And Jude Law was really good in it. So yes, he's really high on my list. He's kind of supporting. The film really does sort of circle around Alicia Vikander. I could have put him in lead. I don't know what he campaigned as for Firebrand. I don't even know if they campaigned Firebrand, which is really such a shame because he should have been. For anybody who's seen Firebrand, it's really hard to deny the fact that he's not great in it. So, moving up the list. Nicolas Cage for Longlegs. Oh my God. Oh my Jesus. I've put him in places and people keep looking at me like I'm crazy. I've voted for him in some of my voting bodies and they're like, Nicolas Cage for Longlegs. And I'm like, dude, like, it feels like Osgood just was like, there's only one person that I can call. It's like putting a bad signal in the sky and like Nicolas Cage shows up and it feels like the most Nicolas Cagey performance where Osgood was just like, you know what, bro? I trust your instincts. And trust he should, because Nicolas Cage knows how to be absolutely batshit crazy perfectly on screen, just in like the weirdest fucking way possible. And he's so good at it. It's funny that you can look at him being charming in a movie like, I don't know, like The Family Man or It Could Happen to You or something like that. And then like you watch him in Longlegs and you're like, this guy's a serial killer. And you fully believe it. Like it feels like method acting. Like if I learned Nicolas Cage killed 7 people while filming Longlegs, I'd be like, I believe it. He was just really into character. I saw the movie. It was nuts. Yeah, I don't know why this performance hasn't registered with more people. I think some people just hate Longlegs, but not every movie needs to be full of jump scares. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, moving up the list. Tom Hardy for The Bike Riders, a performance I really love this year that didn't go anywhere and nobody else talked about it, but I really love Tom Hardy in The Bike Riders. I thought he did a great job being sort of the leader of the gang. And he felt like it too. Like Tom Hardy, more than Austin Butler, felt like he knew what he was supposed to play in that role. So that's why I really like Tom Hardy, is because he really embraced biker culture. I think even perhaps more than Austin Butler did in that movie. Of course, you had some other people, in the cast, like Norman Reedus. I mean, if Norman Reedus had been given more to do, casting him as a biker is probably like would have given, if Norman Reedus had been given Tom Hardy's role, he got Oscar nomination because that dude lives and breathes biker culture. So it just would have been like sort of like Kieran Culkin in Real Pain, where people are like, oh, this just feels like a Kieran Culkin performance. It's like, yeah, Norman Reedus just needed to be given more to do and say in Bike Riders, because let's face it, he is a bike rider. That is what he is. So, but no, I thought Tom Hardy did a really good job. Moving up the list. I do believe this is my number 3, and it is an actual Oscar nominee. This is Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. I'm so happy for him. He deserved an Oscar nomination years ago for Memento, and he didn't get one. He's been in a ton of sort of shitty movies recently. When you start doing movies with Liam Neeson, your career's in trouble. I'm hoping The Brutalist turns it around for him and he starts getting offered better movies, because I would love that for him. I'd love that image for him again. I'd love for him to work with Nolan again. He showed people, he's like, listen guys, I haven't forgotten how to act. You just keep offering me really bad movies. Please turn it around for me. He was pretty good in Guy Pearce's, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. But it was a small performance. Anyway, moving up the list, who do I have? My runner-up is Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. I guess method acting pays off, although he did only make my runner-up. I mean, the Succession boys both slam dunked this year. They dunked on each other. I don't know. One of them won, and the other one was the runner-up. You know where I'm going with this, so don't even look. But yeah, I thought he was terrific as Roy Cohn. I think one of the reasons he's one of my favorite performances of the year, but I think one of the reasons why he's number 2 and not number 1 is because I also thought Al Pacino slayed Roy Cohn when he did Angels in America. So, and recently, the guy who played him on Fellow Travelers, the lesser known actor on Fellow Travelers, I thought did a really good job. So Roy is just like a role that is meaty, great to play, and actors get to kill it playing him. You know what I'm saying? Sort of like a Winston Churchill thing, or like there's some people throughout history that just provide a wealth of acting resources. And Jeremy Strong just knocked it out of the park. It's a great performance, and I'm so glad he got the nomination. I thought people were going to ignore The Apprentice, but I was kind of hoping that maybe if they felt uncomfortable nominating Sebastian, they'd still nominate Jeremy. So I'm happy he's there. Of course, my winner is Kieran Culkin for Real Pain. I've seen the movie twice. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I'm deeply affected by Real Pain and Kieran's performance in it. It's not the same as Succession. People keep saying that. And it's just like, it's the way that Jesse Eisenberg writes. It complements Kieran Culkin. It's, when you think about why Jesse Eisenberg is so good in A Real Pain, it's because he writes for himself, much like Woody Allen. And when you think about Kieran as an actor, and the kind of roles that he's taken on over the years, where he's always sort of smarmy, he's great with dialogue, and he has a lot of characteristics of Jesse Eisenberg. So when Jesse Eisenberg writes, he's writing really well for Kieran Culkin. Jesse Eisenberg wouldn't have been able to write like a Ray Fiennes in Conclave type performance, where somebody just emotes the whole time through facial expressions and not necessarily through dialogue. No, Jesse loves dialogue, and so does Kieran. And Kieran's been working at this a lot longer than Succession. On the stage for Golden Globes, he mentioned the fact that he had been nominated before for Igby Goes Down. So he's been there before, you know. I mean, people have taken him seriously for years as an actor. And you may think that this is, you know, happening fast for him, but that kid was in like Home Alone in like 1990. It's 2024. How long do you... What do you mean by a long time coming? Dude's been acting for, for like what, 34 years? I would say, yeah, he's a little overdue for something. Yeah, he played the cousin that wet the bed in Home Alone in Macaulay's movie. So I don't know, maybe there was something before that, but he's been around forever, and people are like, this is really quick. It's happening very quick for him. Is it? 34 years of him being in film like consistently the whole time. So anyway, yeah, I'm happy for him. He's my pick for supporting actor of the year, and I love Real Pain. I've seen it twice, so everything's fully supported. Anyway, I know he's probably gonna win. This is the one time where I'm gonna line up with the Oscars this year. I feel like my pick is Kieran Culkin, their pick is Kieran Culkin. Everybody agrees, except a couple people who are like somebody else, which is fine because, like I said, my number 2 and number 3 are both nominated. So I completely understand the love for Jeremy Strong and Guy Pearce. I validate you 100%. I do not understand the love for Yor Borsov. Somebody can continue to explain that to me, but other than that, yeah, that's it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.